street, strewn with trash and stagnant water, desolate and foreboding.
So we've just crossed the border into southern Gaza. This is the first time we've actually been able to get into Gaza since October 7th, and we are now driving to a field hospital that has been set up by the UAE.
Up until now, Israel and Egypt have made access for international journalists next to impossible, and you can see why.
Since October 7th, the Israeli military says it has hit Gaza with more than 22,000 strikes. That by far surpasses anything we've seen in modern warfare in terms of intensity and ferocity, and we really, honestly, are just getting a glimpse of it here.
Despite Israel's heavy bombardment, there are people out on the streets. A crowd outside a bakery. Where else can they go? Nowhere is safe in Gaza.
Used to be a stadium.
Arriving at the Emirati field hospital, we meet Dr. Abdullah Al-Nakbi. No sooner does our tour begin when
Our ambulance. That's the real life.
And this is what you hear all the time now?
Yes. At least 20 times a day.
At least 20 times a day.
Maybe more sometimes. But I think we get used to it.
One thing none of the doctors here have got used to is the number of children they are treating. The UN estimates that some 2/3 of those killed in this round of the conflict have been women and children. 8-year-old Janan was lucky enough to survive a strike on her family home that crushed her femur but spared her immediate family. She says she's not in pain, so that's good. Her mother, Hiba, was out when it happened. I went to the hospital to look for her, she says, and I came here and I found her here. The doctors told me what happened with her, and I made sure that she's okay. Thank God. They bombed the house in front of us and then our home, Janan tells us. I was sitting next to my grandfather, and my grandfather held me, and my uncle was fine. So he is the one who took us out. Don't cry. But Dr. Ahmed Al-Mazraoui says it is hard not to.
I work with old people, like adults, but the children, something touching your heart.
Touches your heart and tests your faith in humanity. As we leave Janan, Dr. Al-Nakbi comes back with the news of casualties arriving from the strike just 10 minutes earlier.
We just got a stable send right now 2 amputated young male from the bomb.
From the Qasaf we just heard, from the bomb we just heard?
This is my understanding.
Okay.
They will arrive to our red area.
A man and a 13-year-old boy are wheeled in, both missing limbs, both in a perilous state. What's your name? What's your name? The doctor asks. The notes provided by the paramedics are smeared with blood. The tourniquet improvised with a bandage. Since the field hospital opened less than 2 weeks ago, it has been inundated with patients. 130 of their 150 beds are already full.
So let me understand this. You are now basically the only hospital around that still has some beds?
I guess so, yes. Or maybe I'm very sure of that, because they are telling me one of the hospitals with a capacity of 200, they are accommodating 1,000 right now. And the next door hospital, I'm not very sure, he said like 50 to 100, it has maybe 400 to 500 patients. So at one occasion he called me, he said, I have 3 patients in each bed, please take any. I said him, send as many as you can.
I mean, we've been here 15 minutes, and this is already what we're seeing.
And this is, you heard it, you see it.
In every bed, another gut punch. Less than 2 years old, Amir still doesn't know that his parents and siblings were killed in the strike that disfigured him. Yesterday he saw a nurse that looked like his father. His aunt Nahaya tells us he kept screaming, "Dad, Dad, Dad." Amir is still too young to comprehend the horror all around him. But 20-year-old Lama understands it all too well. 10 weeks ago, she was studying engineering at university and helping to plan her sister's wedding. Today, she is recovering from the amputation of her right leg. Her family followed Israeli military orders and fled from the north to the south. But the house where they were seeking shelter was hit in a strike. The world isn't listening to us, she says. Nobody cares about us. We have been dying for over 60 days, dying from the bombing, and nobody did anything. Words of condemnation delivered in a thin rasp. But does anyone hear them? Like Grozny, Aleppo, and Mariupol, Gaza will go down as one of the great horrors of modern warfare. It's getting dark. Time for us to leave. A privilege the vast majority of Gazans do not have. Our brief glimpse from a window onto hell is ending as a new chapter in this ugly conflict unfolds.